Well, the U.S. Defense Department has been looking at climate change and climate security for some time. And I wouldn't say it's their top priority because there are so many challenges right now for U.S. armed forces. They're engaged in Iraq, in Syria, in Afghanistan. Things are looking very problematic with North Korea. So nonetheless, it's an organization that's always looking at the long term as well. And the ways in which the Department of Defense has been looking at climate security is, first of all, for their bases. So the United States military either oversees or owns something like 28 million acres worldwide. And a lot of those locations are on coastlines. Some are in very arid places. In the United States, there are training ranges in Texas and New Mexico and Nevada. There are training ranges in Alaska that are very important for U.S. forces to be ready for all of their missions. And they're concerned about the way climate change is affecting all of that land, all of those places. And they're trying to understand that, trying to adapt. Second is the Arctic. When you've seen overhead imagery of the Arctic and have seen the ice melting and a waterway opening up there for the first time in human history, it's impossible not to take it seriously and not to take climate change and climate security into account. And so the Department of Defense has seen the imagery, also sees what other countries in the region, including Russia, are interested in the Arctic, and they take it very seriously as well as something that's their concern and a military concern. There's a long history of peaceful cooperation in the Arctic, and there's every reason to think that that will continue. But it's a whole polar route opening up, and that's a strong concern. So they look at that. And then finally, they need to think about how climate change is affecting security and stability worldwide, where it's forcing people to move, where it might cause or might excite the underlying conditions and lead to conflict. They know that. They're still looking at how to incorporate those concerns into the way they think about the future. Now, having said all of that, our National Command Authority responds to the president. He is the commander-in-chief, and if this president directs them not to be concerned about it, they won't be leading. They won't be a leading voice. However, planning will continue because as an institution, it is getting ready for the future at all times. And it's one thing I would definitely say to other countries and to defense leaders in other countries. If you as a country, if you think that climate security is really important, then you need to raise it with U.S. military officials and U.S. defense officials, with U.S. political officials, because any president, no matter who it is going to need partners and is going to need allies and is going to need friends, whether it's for our mutual prosperity or our mutual security. Our country will always need other countries. And so what's important to other countries becomes important to us. This is how international relations works. It works that way for every president. So other countries, if they think climate security is a top priority, then they need to treat it that way in their dialogue with the United States. They need to raise it. When they raise concerns about trade or when they raise concerns about North Korea, they need to raise concerns about climate security and what the United States is doing and what we could be doing together. Because if this is an issue that only ministers of the environment discuss with each other, then it stays there. If you are not willing to raise it with military leaders, then they will take that as a message it's not important to you, and it shouldn't be important to them. So I would definitely encourage all of our friends and allies and partners worldwide that if they're concerned about climate change and climate security, that they raise it with their counterparts in the United States at every opportunity, at every occasion. Show that it's serious.